Welcome to Glowing Success. My name is Heidi and I am your host. This podcast is for beauty entrepreneurs. Join me weekly as we dive into the beauty industry's ins and outs, from business strategies, top-selling services, and taboo topics. I will be interviewing industry leaders with empowering stories and game-changing insights. Let's illuminate your path to success together. Let's jump into this next episode. Welcome back to Glowing Success. Today, I am so excited because we're going to be talking all about lashes. So we're going to be doing laser lashes, halo hush, and titanium tweezers. These are next level lashes with Andrea from Evlo Lash Co. And mind you, this is my second time I've had her on Glowing Success. So I'm so excited. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so excited. So
Exciting.
you have so much going on with Evlo. I cannot wait to dive in. If you are listening and you're a lash artist, you're a lash tech, even if you're new or seasoned, you are going to want to listen to this whole entire episode because Andrea has some amazing, amazing things going on. Okay, without
Yeah.
going into more, what's new at Evlo?
Okay, so we have some new technology. Some people might have seen them. We call them laser lashes, okay? So we're gonna get right into it and dig deep into this new technology. You might know them as the spire lashes, anime lashes, okay? This technology can be used to make regular lash fans. You don't have to use the anime spire spikes. You can now make symmetric flat fans that are precise, symmetric, and flat. So it's like if you take a flat lash and marry it with a pre-made fan, you now have a flat fan. And because of that technology, we can make literally anything. I have so many ideas for next year for like holiday time. If you can think of, I don't know, spider webs, that
Yes.
might be kind of cool.
Yes. So if you guys have seen these laser cut lashes online, you might have seen them like an example would be like, a star, or the spike is a little
Mhm.
bit different, or there's, yeah, the pointed, so like it'll point at the tip. There's just so
Mhm.
many amazing things. But I want to talk a little bit more about the flatness. So if a
Yes.
lash, if you're listening and you haven't used flat lashes, so essentially how lash extensions is generally they're just round. It's just a round thing, and you're applying it, of course, to another round thing. Flat lashes have been very interesting because the adhesive just seems to work a little bit differently with that flat lash. So can you kind of go into like what that means in case somebody doesn't really know what a flat lash is?
Yeah, so a flat lash essentially is what it's talking about. It's a flat in, like you said, like a typical lash is round, and a flat lash has more space, like side to side, but not necessarily like a rounded shape. So when you are dipping and placing, you have more surface area to attach to. And so therefore you have a stronger bond. But then with that, flat lashes have a reduction of area. So instead of having this whole space it takes up, it only takes up a flat space. So let's say you have a 0.15 lash. When you flatten it, you reduce that area, that space. And so then it reduces its weight. And so with that, you get the coverage without the added stress on the lash. So there's
Yeah.
multiple benefits with retention, with people with compromised lashes.
Mhm.
And then now we have them in, we actually have 6 new designs
Oh,
and 2 colors. So the ones that we have loved, people love them, is the plume and the quill. These are our sculpted lines. So these are like your anime style. These are in brown now. So they're not released yet.
I love
They're going to
this.
be here soon.
I,
Yeah.
I
And
don't know
then
if
we
you agree
have,
with this, but brown lashes are making like such a comeback,
I love it. And then
right?
people have been asking for like brown spire lashes or like the anime lashes. And I'm like, I got you. And there's potential for other colors too, which is insane. And then we have 6 like fan designs. So now you can have that thicker look
Without the
without,
weight.
yeah. And then
Oh,
also, I don't know about you, Heidi, but like when I'm doing wet sets and I'm having these fluffy fans with these more like spikes, it kind
Mhm.
of doesn't marry as well. The texture is like fluffy and then like stark.
Yeah.
But when you have these, they are a little bit more textured. So then you have the texture on texture. Does that make sense? So you
Yeah.
don't have to use the spike stylers and have like that gummy,
Yeah.
crusty feel. It
I was just
stays
gonna
that
say
way.
my clients do not like that, so I don't do that. So I will say like I'm not included in that world, but
Yeah.
I love the look of it and I like it, but I don't like the
Yeah.
idea of putting something on the lash that potentially is going to
Yes.
probably break down, right? And come off.
Yes.
And mind you, yeah, they're
Yeah.
probably it's probably going to break down at the same time as they come in,
Yeah.
but like oh my God, how cool. And then the other thing I saw online that you were talking about is these ones can be matte and shiny, or am I incorrect with that?
Okay, so we like there are manufacturers that have it be matte and shiny. So
Okay.
just like regular lash extensions,
Hmm.
they are still PBT. So that is the polybutylene terephthalate, which is what synthetic lashes are,
Yep.
which is pretty much everything on the market except for
Right.
mink. We don't talk about mink.
No.
Real mink is not okay.
No.
So within PBT, you can have matte and shiny, and of course, like people do have their preferences, but I
Right.
prefer a matte look. I think it
Yeah.
looks more high end. I think it feels more
Yeah.
luxury. And
Yeah.
so all of our PBT is matte and it's like
Okay.
true, like when you have brown lashes as well, let's talk about that for a second. With the brown lashes, when you get finer diameters, the color kind of fizzles out towards the tips just a little
Yes.
bit. It kind of
Yes.
feels like it almost like is an ombre feel, even though it's supposed to be the same color from root to tip. While
Right.
these, because it's cut off of a sheet of
Oh.
PBT, it's the same color root to tip. So you get more
Mm.
true tone with the black, you get more true tone with the brown as well. So
I
you
love
don't
that.
have that fizzly kind of like tapered, and that there's a
Yeah.
look for everything, but these
Yeah. Yeah.
have
Yeah.
true matte, dark look. Yeah.
I think the matte just adds depth. And I love
Yes.
that because generally speaking, most people, when they get their lashes done, and this is like a trick for marketing too, will talk about that you don't need eyeliner, right? Like when
Yeah.
you have your
Yeah.
lashes done, you don't need eyeliner. Like there's
Yeah.
no, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I feel like when you have matte lashes, it's even more of that depth is there. And so like
Mm-hmm.
you really don't, because it's going to look really nice and dark at the
Yeah.
base.
Yeah, because it
Oh,
absorbs
I'm
the light. Like
obsessed.
it's not reflecting light. So when you have a matte, dark black, it absorbs the light. So there's no reflection. So you do get that darker lash line without the added weight of
Yeah.
having to go like 30D. Like we don't want
Yeah.
30D. But when you do make a volume, you have to go a lot of fibers in order to get that depth. I have
Yeah.
done a 4D set that looks make a volume with these flat
Yeah.
lashes. Like
Yeah.
it's insane
And
the
me,
depth.
there's so many clients that can't handle a high depth anyway. So I
Yeah.
will say
Agreed.
like you're going to have a lot of natural lash clients that their natural lashes just can't hold that weight.
Yeah.
So I love this idea that we're still going to give that client exactly what they're looking for, that depth wise or
Yeah.
that fluffiness or whatever they're looking for,
Yeah.
but we're going to
Yes.
give it to them in such a healthy way because
Yeah.
taking care of that natural lash health is like top
I
number one priority,
know.
right?
Yes,
If
I
you've been
agree.
doing lashes for a while, you know this. Now, okay,
Yes.
so we kind of hopped into this and did not recap that you own a lash company that
Yes.
specializes in UV lashes. Now, we can talk
Yes.
about laser cut lashes all day
Mm-hmm.
long, but I
Mm-hmm.
really want to talk about your adhesive.
Yes.
And maybe
Okay.
dive into a little bit maybe give a snippet to the listener about what UV lashes are. Because we
Okay. So
skipped
just
over this.
quickly, yeah, about what UV lashes are. I know we got like straight into the nitty gritty. I get too excited about lashes. So UV lashes is essentially using a light to cure your adhesive. And so instead of waiting for your environment to set up your adhesive and cure it, you are using a certain wavelength of an LED light that shines onto this glue, interacts with the photo initiator, and speeds up the curing. So it's literally instant. So then people ask like, do I have to worry about my humidity? No, because you're not relying on your humidity to set it up. You're relying on your light to set it up. And then with that, you have less fumes generally because with regular adhesive there's fumes like releasing the entire time, and so that's where you get like people with like the bright red eyes and watering, and those are fumes. That's fumes being released. And so when you start curing it instantly, the fumes are reduced, therefore the sensitivities are reduced or sometimes even eliminated in some cases. And then we kind of talked about this like a little bit. We released a new adhesive that okay, so we have 5 UV adhesives. This is insane.
I'm so excited.
They all play a role. I think when we chatted last, I think I had 3 maybe. But we have 5 now. So they all play a role. I can quickly go through because people are asking what is the difference between them. Halo Bond is our 2 second. It's our, tried and true. It's what comes in the kits. So this is what a starter adhesive is going to be. 2 seconds doesn't mean the dry time anymore. So you don't have to like speed it up. It's your cure time. It's how long the light is actually on. Okay. So this has a like kind of a medium thin viscosity. And then after that one was released, some people are like, okay, we want to see our adhesive. And so that's where the hue came out. So we have, it's pretty much like the Bond. It has the ethyl cyanoacrylate, polymethyl methacrylate, but the difference between it is it now has added violet pigment. The ones that are similar as far as like composition would be the Bond, Hue, and Onyx. Onyx is a true black UV adhesive. And the thing about true black is that a light has to actually be able to penetrate. And when you have an opaque color, it is very hard to penetrate to speed up that curing. But we were able to do it. So, and then we were like, okay, within after the hue, actually, we were like, okay, how do we speed up this curing? So we came out with Bolt. Bolt is the 1/2 second, 1/2 second from the time you dip, place, turn on your light, it is cured. So those people that are speedier lashers that don't want to like hold the light on for 2 seconds, then you can have it on for 1/2 second and you can like do speedier lashing. Like let's say you have the laser lashes or pre-made lashes with the Bolt, you're flying through your sets. Like you don't have to sit there and make fans. You're just like boom, boom, boom. So
I
when
love
you're like
this.
curing, you can be grabbing another lash, placing a curing. And then our last, so Onyx came out after Bolt, and then our latest release was Hush. So all of our adhesives do have a larger percentage of cyanoacrylate. So we have
Mm-hmm.
90%. And there has been some talk about, okay, why have a 90% when you can have it less? And that got us thinking, when you're not relying on humidity anymore, you don't have to have a higher percentage of cyanoacrylate, so you can manipulate the chemicals now. And
Mm.
so we can actually reduce it to 75% cyanoacrylate. We have polymethyl methacrylate, sodium stearate, a little bit of fillers, but nothing that like cause harm or anything like that. These chemicals are wonderful. And what it does is it reduces the fumes. When you have a reduced cyanoacrylate content, you have a reduced fume rate as well. Okay. And then, as we know as lash artists, and if you don't know, I'm grateful to be teaching you, but with sensitive adhesives, sensitive traditional adhesives, they use a weaker cyanoacrylate. Okay. They're using an alkyl cyanoacrylate, which is weaker because it has weaker fumes or less fumes. But
Mm-hmm.
then with that, you see that you have like the 4 or 5 week retention. But that is not because the lash is shedding, is because the glue is losing its hold. It's
Yeah.
essentially disintegrating.
Yeah.
And so then you have retention issues, although you have less fumes. When you can still have a strong cyanoacrylate, an ethyl cyanoacrylate, but lessen the fumes, you have the strength of an ethyl cyanoacrylate, but the reduction in fumes like a sensitive glue. Does that make sense?
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
it's
So
the
it still
best
has
of
its
both.
strength. I love that part.
Yes.
Okay. Because
Yes.
that's
And
what
you
I'm
would think
hearing.
that like if you're reducing it, that maybe it reduces its strength. But no, I actually
Right.
personally use it on everybody. It's
Love
kind
it.
of like my new obsession. And I get the best retention. I think I get pretty much the best retention out of all of them. Like all of them have great retention. But right now, Hush is like primo. It is
It's like where it's
amazing.
at. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
if somebody's on your website, for instance, and they're trying to decide which one to choose, because obviously, when you have five, adhesives,
Yeah.
sometimes it can be really tricky for people to choose something. Maybe give if somebody's a beginner lash artist and they're a little slower, would you suggest them to use what?
Probably the Bond is what I would definitely start with. And then if
Okay.
you're feeling like you're lashing a little bit speedier than having that adhesive curing and you're like, okay, I want something different, Then my next favorite would be Hue is my next favorite. Our
Okay.
top seller is Bolt. It is
Okay.
number one top seller is Bolt. So, but
And
then
why is
Hush is
that?
becoming, I think because people want to lash faster and there's
Yeah.
not actually faster curing adhesives on the market.
Okay.
We are, I would say, one of very few. I actually don't know of very many adhesives that have different curing rates.
Yeah. Me
Just
either.
because, yeah, because I've seen other ones, maybe they have like the same base, but then they've just added pigment to it. And so it's still
Yeah.
like maybe a 1 or 2 second cure. And so we
And the
have it.
viscosity
So
is,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I
So
think, and so the thing I think with like we think of when we think of adhesives is we think a thicker viscosity is going to last longer, right? Because we
right.
think of like that structure being like, but it's not always that case. And that's what we're learning
Yeah.
from you is like there's so much that goes into adhesives to the point
Yeah.
where that retention, that strength, that
Mm-hmm.
bondability, and then, that durability, right? So that
Yeah.
flexibility, essentially, I'm using a lot of words
Yes.
here, but that flexibility, that's where some of that comes from is because
Yeah.
yes, we're moving around, we're sleeping, we're doing stuff with our
Mm-hmm.
lashes, and so we definitely need that, but that's not necessarily the case for adhesive. So I love that you're educating us because,
Yeah.
there's so much I think people don't know about adhesives to the point where it's like a mystery sometimes. And so
Yeah.
sometimes when people are going online to purchase things, they just go off of what the website says. The website says this is
Mm-hmm.
their top seller, I'm going to use it. Or the website says
Yeah.
this one cures in 2 to 3 seconds, I'm going to use it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so I love that you as a company, you dive into all of this in such a
Yes.
deep level that like we need that information, right?
Yes.
Because if you show up with the information, you guys, as service providers, I promise you, your clients are going to, you're going to retain that client a lot easier because they're going to
Yes.
trust you because that instant trust is there. There's
Yes.
going to be better retention. Like you are going to understand your tools a lot more. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
this information like really like stacks onto each other to the point where
Yes.
you're going to see it in your paycheck. You're going to see
Yeah.
it, you know what I mean?
And
So
at the end of the day, I'm still a
yes.
lash artist too. And that was
Right.
the one thing I saw in the industry was like the
Yeah.
people were saying like anti-allergy gel or something like, but I want to know why. Why does that work? How does it work? It kind of gets
Yeah.
into my what,
Yeah.
why, and how. And I'm just like, now I can actually be one of those thought leaders. Like I can tell
Yes.
you what, why, and how. And here's the proof of
Yes.
it too.
Yes.
So
We got to get geeky, people. We
yes.
got to get into the science behind it. I mean, it's a
Yes.
chemical we're working with, you know what I
Yes.
mean?
And your eyes, you only have two of them, you know?
Yeah. So you said that you are only using the Halo Hush now. Halo
Pretty
Hush, that's what it's
much.
okay.
Yeah.
So
And I have
you don't
clients
use the Bolt
who,
as much anymore.
not really, honestly.
Okay.
And I actually have clients who have full blown allergic reaction. One of them, she actually has lupus. And if you know about the contraindications, like
Mm-hmm.
we shouldn't be lashing on certain types of people.
Yep.
I always break the rules though. So she knows that, like, okay, I'm taking a risk and she
Yep.
knows and she trusts me and she can have flare ups and her body hates her. Like it sees any foreign object and will attack it. And so with lashing, it is kind of recommended not to lash these people because you're adding additional things that they can react to, and then the reaction could be worse. But with this, she was actually one of my test subjects. I said, I have something that can work for you because we were using Bond on her and we were rinsing, but she would still have a little bit of itchiness, a little bit of swelling. And actually, no, I have 4 people that I do this on. They have almost the exact same kind of reaction, if you will. I can lash them with the Hush, rinse them at the end. If you don't know what rinsing does, it helps to eliminate the residual fumes and any of like the curing layer or anything like that to help with the potential reaction. Okay. So wash or rinse at the end will change your life. And then they are able to continue their lives without having any reaction. And so they don't have any itching, they don't have any redness, they don't have any swelling, none of that. And so
Crazy.
when we are able to start manipulating the chemicals because we're initiating the curing via a light versus the environment, we can now go into these formulas that can help
Change
our clients.
lives.
Mm-hmm.
Because, there's a lot of clients that develop reactions over the years that
Yes.
are completely sad. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They are missing it. They are they're wanting
Yes.
that lash still. They're wanting that service. They want that vibe. So
Yes.
this is a game changer
But
because
still do a patch test.
of
Is
course.
not a cure all, like
Yes.
pun
No, no, no.
intended.
Yes, for sure. 100%. Like, use your best judgment, right?
Yes.
And at the same time, but I will say if you have a client that's willing to try it again
Yeah.
and be like, hey, my reaction wasn't like my eyes were shut. It was like I just had a little bit of irritation.
Itching or
Those clients
redness.
are probably going to try it. Whereas if you
Yeah.
have a client that had full blown, like my eyes swelled shut, then just don't. It's not recommended.
Probably not best.
So, okay. So we're learning that there's so much more that we need to know about adhesive when it comes to lash extensions, but the Halo Hush that you came out with, it sounds like it is amazing.
Yeah.
And I highly suggest you guys run
Game
and get
changer.
it as soon as it's available. I don't know if it's already available. I'm guessing
It's sold
soon.
out, but we
Okay.
have a restock coming. It's
Okay.
like it should be here like probably next week.
I
It
love
just
this.
yeah, I
I
know.
love that it's sold out already. Good for you. We've talked about laser lashes. I want to talk about your titanium tweezers.
Yes.
I love
So
this.
there, yeah. If you don't know what tweezers are made out of, the thought kind of brought to my mind by iGenix. I think her name is Samantha on Instagram, and she is a professional, I believe, somewhere in the eye field. Forgive me, I don't know her profession exactly, but
Ophthalmologist, maybe?
I
No.
think so, or
Okay.
something like that, where she's a lash artist, but more importantly, she's about the lash health. And she was talking about the tweezers. You can have nickel allergies, which then can create, potential allergic reactions. That got me thinking, like, okay, so what are my tweezers made out of? And so I started talking. If you guys don't know, tweezers,
Crazy.
99% of them are made in Pakistan, which is so interesting.
Hmm.
So, because they are the leader in metal and metalworking, that's where they come from. And I have found a manufacturer I've been working with for 4 years. And we talked about titanium. So, titanium versus your stainless steel, they are more expensive per tweezer just straight out of the gate. So you're not
Hmm.
going to find a titanium tweezer at probably under $50. And most tweezers on the market are stainless steel, and most of them do rust. If you've
Yeah.
ever left
Yep.
your tweezers in your barbicide on accident, like I have over the weekend, you'll come back with rust spots. And so to cover that up, some manufacturers started powder coating them. That's where you get the colorful handles. So they're still exactly
I'm
they're
not a fan of those.
still stainless steel, but then now you have that powder coating that can crust off, or if you dip it too, I
I'm shaking my head because I literally have had so many tweezers over the
can see.
years and they always fall apart in the barbicide.
Yes, the
So
barbicide.
I'm like, why are
Yes,
we doing this, people? Why are we doing this? It's
exactly.
gonna fall apart because if you're barbiciding how you should, like over time, that anyway. So
I'm forgetting them like I do.
I've steered away from getting colored tweezers, but anyway.
Yes, because like if you put them in even those tweezer
Yeah,
remover, like the
the
glue remover,
acetones.
and if you
Yeah.
get it too low, then it's starting to disintegrate it, and then you have I literally have had flakes
Yeah.
of the powder coating on my clients' lashes, and I'm like, that's not good.
No,
And
it's
so that's why
crazy.
we don't even carry powder coated tweezers. I will never, because I hate
No,
them so
they're
much.
annoying.
And so it got me thinking, what can be better? And so when you go into titanium, first off, they are lighter. So per weight, I think they're about half the weight. So if you're like somebody
Oh,
who gets like hand tension, like when I first started lashing, my hands actually swelled up because I had so much tension from like
yeah.
really heavy, tense tweezers. And
Yeah.
that got me looking into lighter tweezers and everything. So these actually are lighter in weight, and then they're actually rust proof. So I have put these through the ringer just like my other stainless steel tweezers. These ones right here are fresh out of the package, but I have my other ones I've been testing for over a year,
Nice.
and they have zero rust on them. Zero
Oh,
rust. And they're also, so they're like beautiful. They have
yes.
like a gold matte. You can have different
Love it.
colors of titanium.
Okay.
Basically, it's like gold or silver, I think. I don't think
Okay.
you could do like what they call the plasma colors. Like in other
Right.
tweezers, you might have, they're a purple tweezer, but it looks like purple metal.
Yeah.
That's like a coating. So some of those are called titanium, but that's the coating on it. Some people
Right.
also call them plasma, but true titanium tweezers are very expensive straight out of the gate. Like per tweezer, I think I'd have to figure out, I think it's like 2,000 times more expensive than a
Yeah.
regular tweezer. Like it's very expensive. And so we came out with one style, very minimal, just to kind of test they're not even on our website, yes, yet, but just to test the market.
Yeah.
We only bought 30 of them because we're like,
Yeah.
it's
It's
so
very expensive.
expensive
Yeah. Well,
and
you guys know as business
quality.
owners, you have to put that money in, but sometimes you're not getting it back. So you have to be very cautious
Exactly.
of how
Yeah.
you product test. Yeah.
Exactly. And these might look like stainless steel tweezers on the market. Like there are gold tweezers out there, like
Right.
that are beautifully designed. But these are true titanium. If you weigh them, you will tell instantly that these are lighter. And yes, they're going to definitely cost a premium price, but they're going to
Right.
last you. And they also have like the fiber etching,
Okay. So you can
like
hold
the
on to
laser
that.
tip.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Love
So if you
that.
like somebody who likes a fiber etched tweezer like I do,
Yeah.
and it has a little bit of extra give, just a little bit because they are more of a
Is it a softer metal?
yeah, softer metal.
Okay.
Yes, like
Okay.
kind of because it can be so thin that it does have a little bit of give. So when
Okay.
you're like pinching your fans or something, it can help you bloom out those fans more too. So
Yeah.
there's like added benefits to
Huge.
the
Well,
titanium.
the fact that they're lighter really stuck out to me because that means you're going to have more longevity in your career. Because,
Yeah.
our hands being used the way that they're used, that tiny motor skill, that tiny, movement, over time your hands just go out. And
Yeah.
of course, carpal tunnel is
Yeah.
really big in our career. It's
Yes.
so I'm thinking of it in that direction of like,
Yes.
if you're using your tools that are actually going to be working with your body, not as strenuous on your body,
Yeah.
it's going to make your career longer. The other thing that's kind of cool is the no rust thing. So you don't have to worry about that. Like, let's say you did
Yeah.
forget them in the barber side over the weekend
Yeah.
or whenever you're gone from work. That's not something you have to actually worry about. So I
Yep.
love that part because that
Yeah.
investment that you're spending is actually going to go
Yes.
farther.
Yes.
The only thing I would worry about, and obviously, is dropping them because they're lighter and because they're a
Yeah.
soft metal. So like
Yes.
really be careful. But I think any lash
Yes.
artist knows once you drop a tweezer, it's pretty much done.
Yeah, it's done.
Because it bends the tip or it does something and you just can't there's no recovery. So yes, if you're purchasing your first set of tweezers, I might
Yeah.
suggest you to purchase a stainless steel, and then
Yeah.
once you
Stainless steel.
become a little
Hmm.
bit more comfortable and you're actually
Yeah.
ready to go and you're like, you know what,
Yeah.
I'm feeling very confident, then I would suggest buying your titanium
Yeah. And
because
we only have one style out. So it's not
okay,
your specific style that you
right,
like. Just wait. Like if this takes off, we'll
yes,
definitely be expanding. So then you
yeah,
can invest in those, like, because the
yeah,
industry used to have like diamond tip tweezers, and
I
those are
know
like
that's
long
crazy.
gone because
Yeah,
those were like hundreds of dollars for like a
too
pair of
much.
tweezers.
So you have other
So this is
tweezers on
kind
your
of that.
website.
Yeah, we have
Okay.
the rest of them are stainless
Stainless
steel,
steel.
and
Okay.
I'm gonna out ourselves like they rust, and I'm gonna do a
Yeah.
comparison post,
Yeah.
like the tweezers I use a daily that are stainless, and the
Yeah.
tweezers I use that are daily that are titanium, and
Yeah.
show you
Yeah.
they definitely don't rust. Like,
Yeah.
and I've been using them for over a year. It took us a little bit of time to
Yeah.
invest, just because, like I said, they
Yeah.
are so
For sure.
expensive. But
You're
the
a
rest
small
of them are
business.
titanium. Yeah, the rest of them are stainless steel. So
Yep.
we're direct out with that. But the new line is going to be called our Tweezer Plus line. So it's going to be like
Ooh.
tweezers, but elevated. Like there's iPhone Plus,
Yes.
Tweezer Plus.
Yes. Yes. I love this.
I almost
Now,
wanted to be like our Golden Girls collection or
I know,
something,
right?
but
I love
yeah.
this. No, I'm excited about it. And when she says they rust, it's not something instant. It's not something if you take care of your tools, you guys, it's not like you're gonna rust overnight. I
Hmm.
still have tweezers, you know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so when she says that, don't freak out if you're buying your stainless steel tweezer and you're like, oh my God. No. it's something that can happen and it's something that happens over time. But
Yes.
it's not going to
Yes.
happen. It's less likely. So we've talked about your laser cut lashes, which is amazing, and you guys are going to have to go online on her website, and I will link everything in the show notes to see what these laser cut lashes look like. They're
Yeah.
amazing. You will not
Yes.
believe some of the shapes and the cool just designs. The Halo Hush adhesive, which it sounds to me like this is the top tier adhesive that everyone should go and run and get. And then these titanium tweezers, which is going to be an amazing investment. So
Yes.
these are the things that are releasing in Evlo Lash Co. Now, you have a reputation for, staying ahead of the curve in the industry, especially when it comes to UV lashes, but just lash extensions in general. I'm very curious. What is your process for developing new products, or like how are you coming out with
Oh,
these things? I
that's
mean,
such a
you're a
good
lash artist, so
question.
that's number one. So that's a given.
Yeah.
So like you're
Yeah.
in the industry, you're hands-on, but do you go online? Like, how do you come up with this?
Yeah, so I have through the last couple of years have had a relationship, a reputation with certain manufacturers that I put my trust in, because when you are sourcing from China, you have to, like, that's why there's so much of a stigma, is that I have talked to manufacturers who said, I'll put anything on the label that you want me to. And I go, no, thank you. So I make sure I know. I'm like, are you serious? So I make sure that they are, and I'll even test them. Like, can you put this on the label? And some of them will be like, yeah, I can put whatever you want on the label. And then some of them are like, no, it has to be what is in there. I'm like, okay, I'm working with you. And then when the Mokra came about, I believe it was the beginning of, or last year, I think middle of last year, that you had to have Mokra certification and your manufacturers. I was messaging every single one of my manufacturers and saying, I need the certificate or I'm not working with you. And some people would provide it right out, and some people had to apply with it because I was the first one to ask them for it. So, if you don't know what MOCRA is, it's a part of the FDA regulation here in the United States. And anything that touches the eye margin is now, you have to have it registered with the FDA, because there are some willy-nilly products that can cause reactions. So, like eyeliners, but because the adhesive can touch the eye margin, your bonders, your primers, your eyelash washes, they all need to be MOCA certified. So that is like a huge key of like finding reputable manufacturers. And the biggest thing that I have done is Alibaba. That is, you're going to find a middleman. So those aren't directly factories usually. And so that is like the first entry into like finding manufacturers has been Alibaba. From there, then I have found factories, and a lot of those are only communicating on WhatsApp. You have to make sure you're finding reputable ones. And the one that I have found with the laser lashes, they are a leader, and I can tell them, I want this design, and they'll make it. So all of these designs that I have asked for, they're for us only. So you won't find them anywhere else. And I have made sure, because
You heard that.
we have paid for these lengths, we have paid for these designs. And so, unless there's a knockoff somewhere, our factory has given us the promise that they won't just mass produce, because there's been products that we've come out with that our manufacturers turn around and mass produce for everybody, which it's a bummer that we can go into the all of
Yeah.
that legal stuff, but we don't have the money to have
Right.
patents or anything. But
Right.
so finding factories and then asking them, can you do this? And then trying to break it down, because you also have a language barrier. You have,
Yep.
I speak English and I have certain terms. And that is where actually the laser lashes have been misrepresented as 3D printed, because
Oh,
when
okay.
people, when they first come out, the factories are saying they're laser printed or they're printed, but that doesn't mean that they're 3D printed. It means that they use, in their terms, a printer that laser cuts them out. So they're
Yeah.
laser cut lashes. And so you have to try and figure out what language do they speak versus you speaking. Sometimes it's literally a drawing.
Right.
Like, you have to kind of get a
You got to
little
start
bit,
somewhere.
you got to go down. And so sometimes it'll be like, I can't find somebody, or it's 3,000 units to create something. And so as a small brand, it's really hard for me to come out with new stuff, because I want to innovate, but we are so limited with our funding that
Yeah.
I have to wait until they're able to make it for other people. Like, for example, I want to
Yeah.
make point oh 0.02 pre-mades. And
Ooh.
in order to make point oh 0.02
Point oh
pre-made,
02. Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
I love point oh 0.02.
Okay. I was like,
And
I haven't used
I
point oh
love
02s.
them.
Okay.
I love them. And they don't make pre-mades that are point oh 0.02 because it takes
Yeah.
$50,000
Yeah. I
for
was like,
the
that's a
equipment for
really
it.
fine lash. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can have thicker diameters. And so our
Yeah.
alternative was like, okay, we can have, the laser cut lashes at a less entry point of entry, our
Cool.
actual investments less. So, it's really hard because like I have ideas in my brain that I haven't even spoken to my manufacturers, because I know
Yeah.
once it's out of my lips, it's their idea, not mine anymore.
Yes.
And so I
Yeah.
can't patent, I can't. So I have ideas of lash lights that aren't on a tweezer and aren't on your forehead and aren't on a gooseneck, but I
Yeah.
can't get it out there because
Yeah.
yeah, so
I
the process is hard. It's
so
hard to be an
cool.
innovator with like minimal finances. So if anybody wants to invest,
I know, right? If we have any
partner with
investors
me.
listening, you guys are on to it. You have such an amazing brand. I love seeing it build
Thank
online. I
you.
love seeing your innovative mind. I tend to be a visionary myself, and so I love seeing other visionaries that,
Thank you.
like you were saying on your stories earlier, like we're trying to uplift the lash industry. We're trying
Yes.
to, make it something that both parties enjoy, not only the clients,
Yes.
but the, lash artists. I think there's
Yes.
something to be said about that. I love that you're still lashing and you're still in it. Eventually that's probably going to be less and less as your company grows. But like, I love
Sure.
that you're hands-on with people on social
Mm-hmm.
media because,
Mm-hmm.
that to me also is a really interesting way to, get people's questions. Like I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I take kind of
Yeah.
polls of what people are wanting and what they're,
Yes.
I know recently you went to LashCon and that was really
Yes.
cool. Like,
Oh my gosh.
and so that's a really, I've been to events before. I
Yes.
haven't been to events in a long time, but I've been to
Yeah.
events and it is so cool going to events. So if you're listening and you
Mm-hmm.
haven't had a chance to go to an event and you're thinking about it, definitely do it. It's worth it. You learn so much. You
Yes.
meet a lot of cool people. You
Mm-hmm.
meet very like-minded people, which is
Yeah.
so cool in one space.
Yeah.
It's not as competitive as you think it's going to be when you get there.
Right.
People are
Oh my
very
gosh.
like open to making friends. People,
Yes.
you know what I mean? So like go to an event if you
And I
can.
went by myself and I
Right.
thought I wasn't gonna, and I
Yep.
left with probably hundreds of friends, but now I know.
Yeah. And they're so cool. I've learned so much. Like one of the first
Yeah.
events I went to, I learned all about cyanoacrylate. There was a guy there,
That's cool.
Dr. Doug Schoon, I think his name
I
is.
love Doug
Okay, so
Shun.
yep, I got to
Yes.
see one of his talks and I learned so much about,
Yes.
because that was at the time where we had to tell people to not wash their faces for 2 days. That's how long I've been
The
lashing
dark
people.
ages.
The dark ages when lashes came in a little cup. Anyway,
Yeah, the
so
little pods.
the little
Yes.
cup.
Oh my
So
gosh.
so so events are amazing because you will learn so much. There's
Yeah.
so much to do at events.
Oh, cool.
So, but I love
Yes.
that you're always evolving. I love that you're always, thinking ahead. I love that you're always like, there could be a refinement to this. What
Yes.
could it be? And you know what? I am putting it out in the universe that yes, you're gonna get, big investors. You're gonna have more to come, and then you'll be able to release more to the world, right? Because that's
Yes.
really what we're doing. Now, we're
Yes.
talking about what's coming up, what's coming out, and you have all these really exciting things. Recently, I heard something about like collaborations or affiliates or people that can work with
Yeah.
Evlo Lash
Yeah.
Co. Can you go
Yes.
into a little bit about
Okay, we have
that?
we have a couple tiers of stuff that if you like our products and you're obsessed just as much as I am, that you can actually earn Lash Cash or even cold hard cash. So we have like, because if you're going to be repping us, we might as well like put in that effort, because like I do the same thing with Amazon, but I get pennies on the dollar for my efforts, where we give dollars on the dollar for your efforts. So you can sign up to be an affiliate at partners.evlolash.com, and from there you do have to be a customer, because we don't want like these spam coupon accounts to get part of our affiliates. We want people that are actually tried, true, trusted customers that can give their raw feedback. And then we have our ambassador program, which is we pay people to like PR, like you get boxes, you get, posts. We want to collab. And for those affiliates that are high quality, high earners, those that kind of go into our next tier of people, because literally it's just me and my husband that run this business.
Right.
So you kind of know your strengths and you kind of know your weaknesses. And at some point, you're going to get tired of this phase. And maybe you want
Never.
somebody else's
Never.
perspective.
I
And
get what you're saying
so,
though. Well, and
yeah,
I
and
do
different
like hearing
audiences.
other people's perspective. I mean, we
Yeah,
all like hearing reviews from somebody else, right? Because I
yeah,
get what you're saying.
exactly.
You're always going to talk the best about your own company. So I see what you're saying with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we have an educator partnership. So we do have educators in the world, a couple in Canada and in the US, and actually one in Denmark. And so yeah, I know. So
Cool.
we actually have an educator. Like if you're looking for a class, there's an educator locator. And then if
Cool.
you yourself become an educator, you are put on that map. So that's a way to collaborate. We give you the materials, all of the product information,
Nice.
the kits at a discounted rate,
Yep.
and you get all of the money from like hosting a class. And
Right.
so we have different like tiers on that, and we can get into that if
Cool.
somebody's interested. And
Yeah.
then our
I love that.
last, yeah,
I
and
thought
then there
about
was,
being an educator, you guys. I was like,
yeah.
should I get back into lash education? I used to teach lash extensions, and so I know I was messaging with Andrea like a couple weeks ago, and I was like, oh, this is so interesting. But I love my
Yes.
coaching business. I love my podcast. So I'm
I
like,
know.
I don't
You got to
know.
know
I
if you
can't.
have the drive to do it, because when you buy
That's a
in,
good,
like you have
yeah,
to have that drive
of
yourself. And
course.
then
It's
our
a
last
business.
way that we have collabed with the industry, where we truly believe community over competition, is our UV Lash Artist Finder. My husband spent weeks programming this. That's what he does for a living.
Oh, I love
And
that.
we have a map that you can go register yourself, no matter if you're with our brand, another brand, if you're registered with us, if you're certified with us, you can go and it's free. We don't link our marketing with it. So if you put your email on there, it's not linked to our marketing email. We will not contact you. This is purely for our community, because when I'm on TikTok Live, then one of the biggest questions is, who does that in my
Ooh,
area?
yeah.
And so
I mean, I
it's
asked
just,
you and I looked online and I was like, oh, there's not
it's
anybody in my city.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming
Not
unless they
yet.
have it like in their bio or
Yeah.
something. So
Yeah.
we have this because we have
I love it.
worldwide customers. So if you are in Europe, if you are in the United States, if you're in Canada, we have people in Australia. So like if you're looking for somebody, we have registered people all over the globe. So this is something that is
Cool.
free. We approve, right away so you can get listed. And then there is a little bit of like an extra little bonus. If you are an Evlo customer, you get a little heart.
For sure.
It's just our Evlo heart, just to kind of signify if you're looking for somebody who's specifically Evlo.
Cool.
But in general, you can go on there and find anybody who's registered. So
I
it's
love that.
free. I recommend doing it. And if you're a
Yeah.
customer looking for somebody, go on there as well.
Yeah. And these are all artists that use UV lash
Yes.
systems. Okay.
Yes.
And then there's a special classification on the website, from what I understand, if they use specifically Evlo. I love
Yes.
that. That is
Yes.
really nice of you because obviously, like you said, we're talking about no competition, just
Mm-hmm.
everybody has a chance to succeed. Like, you know what I mean? But like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I think they're going to find that these new products, especially the Halo
Mm-hmm.
Hush, they're gonna want to try it. So I
I'm
have
so
a feeling
excited.
it's gonna
And
be
we're not
nice.
done. We're not done. So watch
Yeah.
out for the
Yeah,
next things
right.
that are to come out.
So I
Yes.
couple questions.
Yes.
So what's one thing you wish every lash artist knew about product selection or quality? Now, we kind of hinted to this in adhesives, but like what do
Yeah.
you wish more lash artists knew about like how to choose products or like their quality, things like that?
Yeah. That's
I
a
know it's kind of a
really,
crazy question,
it
but
is a loaded question, because
hmm.
I have tried so many different brands, and I think that's the one thing you have to do is you just have to try. And so like when I was first on the market, you're not going to buy one length of every point oh 0.07 tray. Like that is just
Right.
crazy. So try a mixed tray, see recommendations, see reviews. Reviews is really what's going to set it apart, and then test it for yourself, because just
Yeah.
because one person likes it or they get good retention with it doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
Yeah.
And so definitely look at their reputation, see, like even ask for their MOCRA certification or registration, because that's one thing I see
Yep.
is like smaller brands, they might not know about that. So make
Yeah.
sure that you are asking about that, and don't be afraid of asking for SDS files either. Like make
Yeah.
sure that you
Yeah.
are doing the due diligence, that it matches up with the bottle that you have with the SDS sheet. And
Yep.
so asking questions, and if a company can't reply or doesn't have the information,
That
it
might
could be a
be,
red flag. So just
it is
be
a red flag.
leery. Yeah, it is. Because I've even asked for certain information just because I'm curious, and they don't have it. And I'm like, you're selling it. You should have the proper documentation. And I believe legally you have to reply within a certain time frame to give these documents, because these are
Yes.
professionals that are getting, like, their
Probably
state board's
audited.
coming. Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
And you have to
Hmm.
make sure you have this documentation. So
At least in
if
my
it's not,
state, you have to have it.
yeah, me too. So we have to have a binder of SDS
Yes.
files.
Yep.
So that's one thing. And I think just kind of testing them yourself. That's
Yeah.
really when I am testing new products, as I test my clients, and that's why I still take clients. They're
Yep.
my test, they're my little
Yep.
guinea pigs.
Yep.
And so I specifically will be like, okay, maybe I'm trying a new brand on this person. I'm going to see if those lashes straighten out. I'm going to see if those lashes are easy to fan. So a lot of it
Yeah.
is just personal testing, really.
Yeah.
And a lot of things is preference. So
Yeah.
just because two brands have a very similar product, it might be different quality, price point, all of that stuff.
Yes.
Like if you like a bougie
100%.
package, have a bougie package. If you want a simple package, have a simple package.
Yeah.
Like probably two really great products. It's just different, like, preferences, really.
Yeah. I think like for most lash artists, they have about like three brands that they probably love. Like, and they work
Yeah.
between and they kind of like,
Backup brands too, just in
yeah, yeah, back,
case.
right. So when shipping is off or something, but like,
Mm-hmm.
or you have a brand that you only buy lashes from, and then you have a brand
Yeah.
that you only buy adhesive from, and you have a
Mm-hmm.
brand that you only buy your tweezers from. But I
Yeah.
will say, like she said, when you're new and just starting off, like you really want to test something out, have those model days, have people come in knowing that they're
Yes.
models, trying something out. Don't lie to
Yes.
people, be really transparent about it.
Mhm.
People, you'd be surprised. More transparency is better when it comes
Oh
to
yeah.
beauty in general and business.
Yes.
But I agree with you. Like you have to really play around a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, sometimes that's just how it works. And
Yeah.
because you're not going to know unless you try. The one thing I will say
Yeah.
about getting reviews is maybe try to get a review from a person that's probably in your state. Because I will
Mm-hmm.
say, like, I'm in Minnesota, so my lashing experience, humidity
True.
wise, if you're not using UV, humidity wise, is completely different if you're in Arizona or Florida, right? So,
Exactly.
maybe if you see a review about adhesive specifically that's not UV based, or
Yes.
has that UV in there, then you definitely want to see if you can find some reviews from people who are maybe in the same
Works in
state
their
as you.
climate. Yeah, exactly.
Also,
Exactly.
reason to connect with other service providers in your area because you can talk to them about their experience with something as well. We need to do more
Yeah.
of that collaboration, community building, be friends with other lash artists. I promise
Yes.
you, it's not going to take away from your business. It has
Yes.
never taken away from mine.
Nope.
So,
That is one thing I think I wish I would have done in the beginning also,
yeah,
is not be afraid to ask for help and to
yep,
have, because like there is competition with artist to artist, but when you think
right,
about it, you can maybe only support like 50-ish clients. And
right,
so when you
right,
know that, you're like, actually I can learn a lot from them, and I
yeah.
can, like
And
you
every
said, there's power in numbers.
Yeah. And everybody is going to find a niche.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but like for me, I don't do mega volume. I don't do anime. I have a lot
There you
of like
go.
older, you know what I mean? I had a lot of
Yeah.
older clients. Like I, so for me, let's say lashing wise, like I would be taking people who are probably mostly doing classic sets
Yeah.
because they want those lashes that don't you really appear, and or if you're
Mm-hmm.
doing a volume, a very light volume, maybe even
Mm-hmm.
a 2D. So whereas somebody down the road, they might love doing mega volume, have that younger
Exactly.
client base, have that, you know what I mean? So like
Mm-hmm.
even if so, because I've rented in two different salon suites, and I will say like a lot of times people were very scared to be like my friend once they knew that we were doing the same service. And I was like,
Yeah.
why? I'm not scared of competition. Bring it on, if anything, but also like trust and believe my clients are coming to me for the reasons they're coming to me and they're going to come to
Mhm.
you. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
personality, it's environment, there's so much
Yes.
more to it than actually the service you
And
offer.
when you also are like a business owner, a small business owner, you probably don't have anybody that you can rely on in
Yeah.
the event you get injured or sick. And
Yeah.
so
Shop talk. Yeah.
having a relationship with somebody that you can be like, okay, she might not have to be the best, but I know that she's a really good replacement. And in a pinch, she would be
Yeah.
able to get in, you know.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
because I've
I've
been in
definitely
that
had that.
situation. Yeah.
Yep. I've had that
So,
where I'm like out of town or I've been sick or something, and I have a friend that was
yep.
across town that I was like, hey, this is, and at the time, that's who I went to when I
Yeah.
had lashes. So,
Yeah.
like, I agree with you
Exactly.
on that. That is huge. And I think
Yep.
there's, I think there's more of this happening in the lash community or just in the beauty space in general, but I do think we need to talk about it more. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
I agree.
I love that, like celebration and
Yes.
collaboration and being friends. Okay, so
100%.
if people are interested in using your system, which I think you should run and use her systems, you guys, and then also just where can they connect with you online? Where are all the places that they can connect with you?
That's such a great question. So, if you are somebody who likes the social media, you can DM. I'm the one who replies. I don't have a media team or anything like that. So, the response you get is a response from me. So, if you're like, hey, girl, I just have a question, always my DMs are completely open. And if you email just info at Evlo Lash, you might get a reply from me, but you also might get a reply from my husband. He's kind of by osmosis a lash artist, just with like, being around the area. And so he always runs by replies to me if there's like something specific, but he's very knowledgeable. So you'll get a response within hours, if not minutes, from either one of us. And so we're very responsive because we know that your business relies on our business. And so whether it's TikTok or Instagram, you can always DM, always comment. And if there's any time that you need more support, I'll hop on a phone call with you. So
I
yeah,
love
if you have
that.
like more questions about safety or switching, YouTube, we have lots of videos, but we have information out. I just want to make sure that people know that we have so much education. So,
Yes, I love that.
yeah.
Yeah, and you're very accessible, and I love that too because
Thank you.
you're knowledgeable, you're accessible, and honestly, like that is huge because there are so many companies that that's just not the case, and
Yeah,
you kind of do feel lost, right? And it could
yeah,
be such a simple question, so don't ever feel like your questions are stupid
exactly.
and ask them away because that's how you're going to
Yes,
learn, that's how you're going to improve, that's how you're going to be a better service provider for your
I
clients
agree.
on all of those channels, including your website. It's Evlo Lash Co.
Yeah, Evlo Lash
Perfect.
Co. And then our website's evlolash.com.
Perfect. And I will
Yes.
put everything in the show notes, you guys. So all you have to do is click away. You don't even have to think about it. I want you to follow Evlo Lash Co. Follow Andrea's journey. I promise you, she's coming out with so many things, so many exciting things, and you are not going to want to miss out. So put her
Yeah.
on your featured, put her on all the things that you can. And
Yes.
thank you for being on today,
Thank
Andrea.
you so much. I'm so grateful to have another time with you. This
I
was
know, right?
amazing.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, I'd love for you to leave a review. It really helps more people find the show. And if you know someone who'd also enjoy it, share it with them or tag me on Instagram so I can thank you. New episodes come out every week, so be sure to subscribe so you never miss one. See you next time.